It's a PHNX Bets reunion. Johnny Venerable, the Deef, head of production Shane Diefenbach, talking all things Arizona Cardinals. They wrap up minicamp. What's the likelihood that this team wins the NFC West? Talking ball now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined by my ex-best bets co-host Shane Diefenbach today. Noah behind the mic. He was out at minicamp. We're going to talk about it. But first of all, welcome, friend. Welcome back to the program.
Hey, bestie. That was a good live today. I feel like you really got deep in there.
Thanks.
That was really good.
You know,
really good.
It's part of my life.
No.
Part of my life here, repping it out with all 71 plus. Joining us live here on YouTube. Check us out at gophnx.com. We've had a ton of guest hosts. We've had a ton of fun while Bo has been out on paternity leave. He is back soon. This might be the most loaded show we have had in some time, indirectly or directly because Shane is here. Shane and I are going to go through the landscape of the Cardinal betting scene. He's going to tell me what's smart, what's dumb. We're also going to break down everything that happened at minicamp today. But my friend, how are you? I haven't checked up on you in a hot minute. You look well.
I appreciate that. You look well too, Johnny. Things have been good. Things have been busy, but things have been good. I'm excited to be back on the program. I don't really grace the presence of our YouTube anymore and with my face. But yeah, things are good. Check me out on ASU if we want to talk ever, but things have been good. Same with Southwest Bias. Southwest Bias 5 days a week, by the way.
It's a great show. Hope you guys check out Espo's episode earlier today, talking Cards defensive line. Shane and I used to do a show every day at noon live, and it was on exclusively talking bets. And we would do every landscape of pro and collegiate sports. NFL was the first one that we kicked off with, and they were like, yeah, keep it to like 10 minutes. And sometimes we would go 20 to 30 minutes
every night, every day.
It was a big time problem. But it reaffirmed my love affair, not only with this man, but with the betting scene. So we're going to talk about where the Cardinals are at. I pulled a bunch of different sports books, and the Cardinals, they've got some pretty tasty props and propositions this fall that we're going to break down. But you saw in the show title today, Calais Campbell spoke for the first time since departing the Cardinals and since re-signing with the Arizona Cardinals today. And he said a lot of good stuff. He's a stalwart of this organization. He is a borderline NFL Hall of Famer, 19 plus seasons now en route to this fall. But there was one clip that I want to break down. I'm going to tee it up here for the Deef and I. It's Calais Campbell talking about his departure and subsequently returning. No, man, let's see it.
I mean, it's surreal. It's incredible. I mean, this is, when you're a rookie and you're hoping to hear your name called in the draft, you feel like it's a dream come true. And this is a team that believed in me, and believed that I had something to offer to this game, and that's always a big deal. And then to play 9 years here, had some success, have some failures, and everything in between. This place has been, this is what football is all about. That's why I learned how to be an NFL football player. And, you leave and you come back and have a chance to come back. It's been incredible, and the love I get in the building, from the other guys, from the staff. There's only a few staff members, but that feels really good. And then obviously being out in the community and seeing the fans and how much, just how happy they are to have me back. That also means a lot to me. When it's all said and done, I never really wanted to retire anywhere or like sign a contract and do anything like that. I just, was going to ride off in the sunset, kind of pull like a Larry Fitzgerald type thing. So, I mean, he's been a great role model for me most of my career, or mentor. So, yeah. But so it's cool to have a chance to come back and do something great here. And, obviously, every team has high aspirations going into the season, and this team's no different, and I go out there and I see us throwing the ball around and playing a little football, and I say, okay, we look pretty good, and I think that everything is on the table for us, right? Obviously it's a lot of work. You got to, do everything you're supposed to do, between now and training camp, and in training camp everything has come together. But this team is special. I believe it has all the tools to make a run, and I think it'd be a great story, being here, coming back, it would be an incredible story. So obviously we all have dreams, and we'll see if it comes to fruition or not. But I'm eager for the opportunity.
He went on to say later in his presser that he, quote, never wanted to leave the Arizona Cardinals. And Shane, let me turn the clocks back to the spring of 2016. The Arizona Cardinals the spring of 2017. The Arizona Cardinals had just drafted one Robert Kimdichie the year before. The Arizona Cardinals allowed Calais Campbell, who had, at the time, one of his most productive seasons, 8 sacks on the year in 2016. They allowed him to leave. They lowballed him, $9 million a year under Steve Keim. He eventually got a well-deserved contract from the Jacksonville Jaguars, $15 million per year. He responded, 14.5 sacks, 10.5 sacks in back-to-back seasons, and the Cardinals were left with Robert Kimdichie. It is one of the worst moves in the history of the franchise, and now we get Calais back in the fold, albeit almost 20 years later. It's pretty wild how it went down.
It is pretty wild, especially on the heels of this offseason where you shored up that defensive line so much, and this is kind of like the cherry on top. Especially hearing him speak, like I was talking to Espo about this morning. You can kind of take everything that he's going to do off the field and still be happy with what on the field, and still be happy with what he's going to do off the field because of the type of person he is, how much he cares about this team and this community, but also how good it's going to be to have him in that locker room for young guys like Walter Nolen. And, we already heard JG talk about how people are picking Josh Sweat's brain. Like, talk about a brain to pick.
Yeah.
Calais Campbell's, not only because of how much experience he's had, but the type of person he is. It's pretty awesome to see.
The tried to trade for him last trade deadline. Couldn't get him. Miami didn't want to trade him. And Miami thought, we've talked to Damon about this, closeted Dolphins fan. Miami thought they were going to re-sign him. And there were a bunch of teams in on it, and he made a conservative effort to come back here, full well knowing like this place is completely different, multiple regime changes since he left, minimal players he's got any familiarity with. But as you mentioned, getting to know the youth on this roster, and let's start with Walter Nolen. Here's Calais Campbell on the 16th overall pick.
Lateral quickness. I was just telling him today that's one of the best parts about my game as well, is my ability to go down the line really fast, and like just that lateral quickness. He has unbelievable lateral quickness. Very few players can go kind of backdoor and come down the line and make a TFL. I've done that a lot in my career. Coaches hate when you go backdoor because most of the time you go backdoor, you open that gap up and you create creases and running backs score touchdowns. And so, you're not supposed to do that. But then sometimes guys can do it and make plays, and he's one of those guys that has that unique ability where he can, he has quickness. His quickness is a different level. And he has good instincts, and obviously I'm going off of 3 days of minicamp, so, we'll see, how it looks when the pads get on and, things get different. But, you can see athletically, though, he's very gifted.
Yeah, it's night and day. The defensive line compared to last year, you hit the nail on the head, I think. Like when you go through, you signed Dalvin Tomlinson, Josh Sweat, and they're going to get players in the draft. And then it was whoops, right before the draft, here's Calais Campbell as well. I mean, this has a chance to be one of the strengths of the team this year. And who would have thought that this time last year? I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Here's the 2023 Cardinals starting defensive line. All of those players are gone, minus Zaven Collins. Yeah, look away. It's
we looked at 24 this morning. I didn't know you still had 23.
Oh, we keep it here stocked for a rainy day. We do indeed. Just atrocious. And again, not Gannon's fault. You just kind of feel out what you have and see what's worth keeping around. And they extended Zaven Collins. But the rest of this front seven is gone. That secondary, for the most part, is gone. And now you talk about, like, somebody texted me earlier today, like, this is where they were. This is where they're at now, 2025. I mean, Walter Nolen's not even listed as a starter this year. I mean, insane. Like, this is what I expect the opening day lineup to look like. Maybe Baron Browning gets subbed out for Zaven Collins, whatever. That means nothing to me. But the 16th overall pick is probably not going to be listed as a starter for this team.
Let me ask you this, Johnny. What do you think? How do you think they're going to use Calais in this defense?
I think you'll see him be matched up against guards and centers for the majority of his time. Yeah. And I think he'll be on a pitch count. But I wouldn't, if they need some juice on third down and he could go against an inexperienced right tackle, I would be open to that. If nobody emerges opposite Sweat that can get home, I would say put him on a tackle. Like, I just want, and I talked about this yesterday on the show, I want closers on the defensive line. I don't really care about, like, positions, right? Like edge rushers, nose tackles, D tackles, D linemen, who can close out games. Like, I think people know this, you're a soft Seahawks fan.
Soft, very soft.
Yes. Your family loves the Seahawks. You have ties to Seattle, all that.
I bleed red.
Yes. But in those two games last year against Geno Smith, the Cardinals got no pressure. No pressure at all. And Geno Smith, susceptible to pressure, and they played right into Seattle's hand. And it's like the Sam Darnold game against the Minnesota Vikings when you had to get a stop in the fourth quarter. Who are just the best 3 to 5 guys at the end of the game to help put pressure on those. I mean, they're going to see Sam Darnold now twice a year.
Yeah. So, and Sam Darnold, legitimately two different players when pressured and not pressured. Top 7, I want to say.
Yeah.
EPA per play when kept clean, and like genuinely, I think bottom 10 when not, maybe even worse than that. That is so important. And this defensive line, not only like obviously the additions to it in the offseason and how good things have looked, but it can't stop winning. Now you're getting pictures of Darius Robinson looking like Sean Oakman out there. And like the Arizona Cardinals fans are so excited, and rightfully so, for what this defensive line's potential could be. And you have a guy in Gannon who should be able to unlock the fullest of that, if not more.
Let's hear Calais Campbell talk a little D-Rob earlier today.
I mean, take advantage of the opportunity. I mean, it's kind of funny because D-Rob is, you could tell he's a guy who loves football, Just a little bit reminds me of myself, just a little bit. I was that happy-go-lucky kid, that all the vets, teased because I was talking too much, but he's just a guy that comes in the building with great energy and is just happy to be here. And that's a joy to see because I love this game. Very few people love it the way I love it. And so you can see somebody else that loves it like I do. It's kind of cool. And, it's definitely a guy I'm going to pour into as much as possible. And the sky's the limit for him. He can be as good as he wants to be.
I know exactly what he's talking about. So we had a chance to have Darius on this show during draft season at Super Bowl 2 years ago. And he has a lot of similarities in terms of his personality, Calais Campbell. Like infectious, contagious personality that you just want to be around. Like certain guys have that. And then certain guys are quiet and they let their play do the talking, right? They don't have to be a rah-rah guy. But Darius and Calais, I can see a lot of similarities. And I mean, you've got 2 first-round defensive tackles now to go along with the bevy of defensive linemen that you signed this year. And then, oh, by the way, Shane, they picked up a mountain of a man from Tennessee, this undrafted nose tackle. Here is Calais Campbell, Elijah Simmons earlier today.
I mean, take advantage of the opportunity. I mean, he's getting a lot of reps, in all the different groups, but he's getting a lot of reps with the ones. And, I mean, that's as an undrafted free agent, rookie. I mean, it's rare, but take advantage of it, make it look good so that the coaches like the way it looks so you get more opportunities. And, obviously, I mean, he's a big, strong guy, one of the bigger, stronger guys, you can be. I mean, I'm sure he bench presses over 500 pounds. Like, he's a big boy. But he works hard, and I think he's given an opportunity that if he capitalizes off it, he can do some great things. Obviously, it's hard to get real good information this early, but it's just cool to see him out there, and he doesn't mess up much. He's locked in, he's focused, he's eager for an opportunity.
Like, we do this every year where we sit here and we're like, they could do this. They could win this many games if everything breaks right. And it's good to have hope, right? But then there's also periods, you've had this endeavor as a fan. It's like, when a rebuild is over. Like, hey, I'm not just being biased because this is my team and I love them and I cover them. This team is good enough right now to compete for a divisional title, to win playoff games this year. And I think it's all in front of them right now, Shane. We're talking about a bevy of additions this offseason that could lead to a double-digit win season for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and again, there are things that can go even more right. Talking about specifically to this defensive line, a lot of people, you don't know what Calais is going to give you on the field, but he's already left such an impression. I mean, Noah came back from the availability or the camp today, and one of the first things he said, and the reason why the show is so Calais heavy is because he's like the best quote ever. Mm-hmm. But you just get so infatuated listening to him. And it's that's so important to have in your locker room. So yeah, it is exciting.
One day, Calais Campbell will be on post-game shows with this network at PHNX.
Yeah,
1,000%. If he chooses to do so, he will have an open.
You will force him to do so.
Absolutely, we will do that. I'm going to force Shane Diefenbach to give me his honest thoughts about a slew of NFL and Arizona Cardinals specific props that I have pulled. I've got the betting expert on the scene. That's coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. But first, let me tell you about our friends at Pure Edibles. Pure Edibles, founded here in Arizona, available in 130 dispensaries statewide. They're not covered in sugar like a bunch of the sweet treats that Shane and I devour. They are premier, full-fledged candy company offering gummies, kicks, their version of Starburst, right? Chews, hard candies. Pure Effects are clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly what you're getting. Nobody likes to take something they don't know what's in it. They were created in Flagstaff at Noble Herb Dispensary, the home of Pure Edibles, and is now made here in Arizona, in Phoenix specifically. Pure Edibles are designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable, easy to dial in your exact dose. Check them out right now. Find yourself some Pure Edible products from one of over 130 dispensaries in Arizona. Big thanks to our friends at Pure Edibles. Check them out right now here in Phoenix. And of course, check out in Phoenix and a bevy of locations, our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. I'm a member. You can too. If you're an Arizona sports fan, no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase. I've got the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Shane, you may not know this. I used to have the straight logo card, but I since got involved with a phishing scam. And thankfully, Desert Financial, they came to my rescue. I supposedly had some unpaid tolls. And then, I was worried my identity was going to be stolen. But it wasn't because of our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. So now I rep the player, which is fantastic. Look for Desert Financial for checking, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. When you open up a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 to get started. Yeah, it was one of those phishing scams. They got your boy. I was vulnerable.
Yeah. Did you feel frail? Did you feel sorry for yourself a little bit after?
I did. I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, I got contact Desert Financial. They're like, they're going to take care of you, and then I'm going to slap you beside the head because that is moronic. So everybody gets those.
Did you walk in the house and just were like, so I got a text from a
Well, I've told this story. It's like I went back to Illinois for like 36 hours, and I was blowing through tolls, and I knew I had to pay tolls, and then I got a generic message saying, here, pay your tolls here. I'm like, oh, perfect. Let me just take care of this now. And nope, it wasn't perfect. But to be perfect, drop a like on this show. We got 200 plus people watching right now here on a Football Thursday. Give us a shout with a super chat to our guy Shane Deef. Let him know your gambling questions. And that's where we're going to kick off here. Segment 2. So Noah, put him to task today. He was at minicamp. He's been working his ass off. We're going to talk a little odds with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to pose it to the gambling savant himself. We're going to talk props. We're going to talk betting odds for the Arizona Cardinals within the NFC West. So I'm going to give you a nice, easy layup here, a softball one. Let's start things off. Trey McBride. Let's see it. The Trey McBride props here on the betting scene. Receiving yards over under 900. Receiving touchdowns 4.5 is the over under. You push.
Ooh, first of all, I think these are great lines. The only reason everyone's going to look at the receiving yards and say that's low. I mean, he went for what, like 1,100 yards last year.
Yeah.
But you also have to kind of factor in what this offense is going to look like, and they in a perfect world, you're not going to have to rely on that tight end position as much as you did last year. Hopefully, that running game can be as good as we saw it at times last year when everyone was healthy, and hopefully Marv develops into that guy that is Kyler's go-to. So I think this is a good line. However, I still am taking the over. I think he's the best tight end in football, like straight up bar none. This guy is. We've seen him improve year after year. He was slept on coming out of college. He was slept on after his rookie year. He's still slept on now somehow. So I'm taking the over on both of these. Last year was a joke. It was unbelievable. He finished with 2 touchdowns, but he had none. Through how many weeks?
Like most of the season till week 16.
It's insane. And I think the law of averages is going to correct itself. And he's only had 6 career touchdowns. So like seeing this number, if you want to go with trends, sure, you can say the under, but I like the over here. I think he's going to go through both of these. This offense, it's going to spread the ball around, but you cater to your best players. So I think the receiving yards one's a little more risky. I think receiving touchdowns. This is an offense, Johnny, that we expect to be putting up a lot more points in terms of last year, but also major points in terms of the NFL landscape.
It damn well better. All right, so I like those both for over as Trey McBride as well. Now, who could eat into Trey McBride's yardage? We know it's the 4th overall pick from last year. Let's check out Marv's props this year, and I think these are very conservative. He was just under 900 yards. He had 8 touchdowns this last year. I'm guessing you want to hammer both of these.
Yeah, you have to as a Marv believer, and there are people that see last year and get scared. There are people that see the lack of production and don't realize it was more of a lack of load. You weren't able to see how much he could do, and this offense in general was lacking. So yeah, I mean, if you look at Marvin Harrison Jr., you don't think he's an 1,000-yard receiver. I don't know what to tell you. Like these are how things go in the NFL. Rookies get better over time. Players get better year over year. Marvin Harrison Jr., you drafted him, yes, because you think he could make an immediate impact, but also with the idea that he has the potential, the frame, the overall ability to become a true bona fide number 1 wide receiver. Again, looking at him and saying he's not a 1,000-yard receiver is ridiculous. So yeah, the over on the receiving yards at 925, I think is easy. And then touchdowns, this one scares me a little bit more, but look, number 1 wide receiver on what we expect to be a top 10 offense. They should score 7 or more touchdowns in a year. So going by that, yes.
They're showing you with that minus 130. They think he's going to hit it too. So, yeah. I mean, he and Kyler were out of sync at times last year, and he still hit 8. So, what
do you think of both of those? Are you 4 for 4?
I like both of those way more than I like Trey's, and I like Trey's. I'm the only thing I'm scared of is not being able to hammer that fast enough. I think the yardage he's going to hit maybe by 3/4 of the season. I think pending injury, there's no way he doesn't hit those numbers. What about Kyler Murray's props this year? This is where it gets a little more dicey, because last year I would have told you with Kyler Murray, he would have set records if he played 17 games. He did play 17 games. Touchdowns, especially passing-wise, a little bit underwhelming. Let's see it. Kyler Murray's props, Noah. Passing yards over under 3,400. Passing touchdowns 20. Rushing yards 475. And then MVP plus 2,800. I'm just going to tell you, these are very similar to what his over-unders were last year, Shane.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, the one that I really want to stay away from is passing touchdowns. Okay. Like you just don't know with this offense, like what their identity is going to be. I don't know. Do you think they're going to just be completely balanced? Do you think what vibe are you getting this early in training camp?
I mean, like I'm with you. Like the passing touchdowns, I think will be better. I want it to be better. But we sat with him and he said he wanted to run more. So it's like, Can he have a Jalen Hurts kind of year where it's like 20 passing touchdowns and like 12 rushing touchdowns. Like I wouldn't push back on that. I mean, can he hold up? To me, it's like I lost so much confidence in Drew Petzing in this offense last year, and they're running it back and they're preaching continuity. I'm going to say he hits the over on both passing and yards and touchdowns. I think he hits it, maybe barely, but I think he hits it, and I think he easily clears the rushing yardage. I'm going heavy with this, and then obviously the MVP is just a flyer.
I like the passing yards the most out of anything on this list, because we saw this offense last year try to establish itself as that powerhouse run game at times.
Yeah.
And he threw for 3,800 yards. Like I think I think he can be a 4,000 yard passer if this offense is again as good as we think it is. The thing you obviously look at in terms of football, complementary football, not just with offense and defense, but with rushing game and passing game, you're gonna have to respect the other if one of them is cooking. So you have to hope they're not one dimensional. And I don't think they're going to be. This run game shouldn't take a step back. I'm not expecting it to take a step back. What did Kyler rush for last year?
He had about, I think he was in that ballpark. He was in the 4s, I think 3 or 4s. And he had a couple big runs that led to that total. He had a huge run against the Chargers and the 49ers. So
yeah, 572 is what.
Oh man, so more than I thought. So
yeah,
that might be the safest bet of all three. Let's check out some NFC West specialty odds here. NFC West special. These are interesting because, again, the Cardinals, they swept the 49ers last year. They got swept by the Seahawks. And then, of course, they split with the LA Rams. These are all plus money right now. Do you see the Cardinals sweeping anybody in the division, Shane, in 2025?
This is a little shocking to me. I think I would expect all three of these to be kind of similar.
Okay.
I understand why Seattle's odds are the shortest. Like, look, there's so much turnover on that roster.
Yeah.
If you believe in Sam Darnold, you're probably lying to yourself. Just because of the track record. So that's not what is crazy to me. What's crazy to me is that the Niners and the Rams are even. I don't know. The Niners and the Niners, whenever Shanahan's there, people are going to believe they're going to be fine. Johnny, I know you don't feel that way.
No, I think the Cardinals are a really good matchup for them now. I think they're a bad matchup if you're Shanahan. And I just don't think they have enough good players. The Cardinals, those games, I don't want to say non-competitive, but the Cardinals dominated both of those games at times. And the only reason the Niners hung around last year is that Cardinals had a bad interception that kept them in it. I think the Cardinals, I'll jump ahead. I think the Cardinals sweep the 49ers. I think plus 350, I would hammer that. I can't sit here and say they're going to sweep the Rams, and then certainly no disrespect to Seattle. They got swept by Seattle last year. If you're asking me which one of these three is the most likely, like I have sold all of my 49er stock. I don't think they're going to be good. I know they have a dog water schedule, but for me, it's like they swept them last year, and the Cardinals are better. And guess what? I think the 49ers are worse.
Yeah, I completely agree that this NFC West is you could tell me that any team swept any team and I wouldn't be crazy shocked. Like I think the most surprised I would be is if the Niners swept the Cardinals or the Niners like cleaned and beat everybody in the division. But still, like I wouldn't be unbelievably shocked with the track record of that coaching staff and just the ability to turn over players, especially on that defensive line. That's the biggest concern with the Niners, but that defensive line has shown the ability to rebound fast. I mean, if they're going to get ran over like they did last year, like they couldn't stop JV running a scat HB draw. I don't think you're getting 6 yards on that team right now. That team to me is so confusing, and the belief is even more confusing. But let's talk about the Rams. What do people see in the Rams that I guess not what do people see, because I know what they see. Do you think they've kind of skipped the rebuilding phase? Do you think they're not going to ever have to pay the piper and they can just continue to churn out these, great first round picks like Jared Versus and whatnot?
I think McVay, unfortunately, is rebuild proof.
Yeah.
And I think as long as he gets competent quarterback play, and Stafford only threw 21 touchdowns last year, but he's just an elite. He's a top 3 head coach in the NFL. I mean, I think it's he, Andy Reid, and then I don't know who would you put in that other column. Like I think that maybe rotates a little bit, but
Yeah.
Maybe he's number 2. I think I would probably say he's number 2 to Andy Reid right now.
I think Howie Roseman is a
right, and
unrebuildable GM.
That's where my brain went. I'm like, well, surely I'm not going to commend Nick Sirianni.
Yeah,
so
we hate him here.
Yes, McVay is the best coach in the NFC, and he's the second best coach in the NFL. There will be no rebuilding. We just pray.
Remember when we almost had him? Remember when he almost retired? That was so awesome.
I was just about to say, remember when he almost worked for Amazon? Was going to do like the Amazon Prime games? Like,
that would have been great.
Let's go. Well, we'll see. They have 2 first-rounders next year. I'm sure they're going to try to get a quarterback. If they end up with Sam Levitt, this network is going to disband. That will not be allowed here.
Do you think that McVay will retire from the NFL first or retire the spikes first? Because I think NFL first. I think the hair needs to go. I think it's so bad.
It is awful.
It's 2025.
Makes him look older than he actually is, too, which is crazy. What else is crazy? Let's check out quickly Coach of the Year odds. McVay's on this list, unfortunately. Barf. Jonathan Gannon is roughly 10th in Coach of the Year odds on here. Our boy JG plus 2,000. Just a fire graphic.
Ball?
Our guy. Noah. Vrabel, the favorite at 600. Whatever. Ben Johnson, 600. Cohen, Duval, 1,400.
Why Duval? Because of the potential, because of how bad they are?
Yes, the division. I think people, like, if they are adequate, I don't know. Who knows?
This is like me looking at Trevor Lawrence MVP odds every single year. I'm like, he has the tools. He can do it. He's in a bad division, and it just never happens.
I think it's disrespect. Gannon behind Aaron Glenn is barf-worthy. Jets, get the hell out of here. Dave Canales, no. Like, I respect LaFleur and Harbaugh and Sean Payton and Pete Carroll. Like, those guys are fine. But Gannon being roughly...
Where's Dan Campbell?
He's right behind Gannon. He's like 12th, right behind Gannon. I think most people feel like they're going to take a step back this year.
Yeah. I don't know. That's where I would put my money if I'm being honest.
Okay. You think they're surprise people? Detroit?
Well, I guess... See, that's the thing with Coach of the Year, though. You have to look at the situations. Like, the top of this list is filled with bad teams. So I guess it's the turnaround.
You have to exceed expectations, or you have to have a season where, that you win like 15 games.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That they would have to go 15-2 for that to happen. So
I think the Cardinals would have to exceed expectations in an NFC West where, guess what? They're not favored to win. Let's take a look at the NFC West odds, Shane, and these are probably very familiar to you. They are tied for last with Seattle plus 475. The Niners at plus 150 feels. How are the Niners winning the NFC West?
So this is the type of thing where you look at this and you look at it so much you get like satiated because you overthink it. You're like, okay, there's something that I'm not seeing here. There's something that doesn't make sense here. And then you try to outsmart yourself when in reality, it's just Occam's razor. Whatever is probable, it's probably going to happen. I look at this and I say, I think the best team is at plus 475 on paper. People are just scared to put their money because of what history has said.
Correct. Agreed. Cardinals, I think, unbiased opinion, the best top to bottom roster in the NFC West. That was San Francisco for forever. I had no problem admitting that. They won despite quarterback play. That time has passed. And I don't like the offseason for the LA Rams and the Seahawks. Well coached. They won despite quarterback play last year, but there's a ton of turnover, as you said. Let's take a look quickly at the Cards' regular season win odds. And again, it's like people don't know what to do with them. Cardinals, like last year, over under, slightly above. They're at 8.5 right now. Can't get plus money on that, though. So Vegas is telling you, like, they think the Cardinals are going to have a winning record. But how big? Not over 10.5. That's plus 275. And then over 12.5 plus 800. I think that's a better bet plus 12, over 12.5 at plus 800 than the NFC West bet, because I think to win this division, I think you're going to have to win 13 games, 12 or 13 games. So that's not the worst thing in the world. Like if the Cardinals win the NFC West, they're going to have to win 13 games, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to win it. Like last year, the Seahawks didn't get in with 10 wins.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this division going to beat up on each other again? Like I also just see probably 2 of these 4 teams are just going to fall flat on their face. If I'm being honest, like Matt Stafford's arm could just fall off. We don't. You don't know what's going to happen there. Sam Darnold could be what everyone thinks is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Milroe getting snaps in week 14 when they've won 5 games. Things could go really bad for all of these teams. Brock Purdy. Like, I don't know. This is a weird division, man.
Speaking of weird, let's take a look at some specialty props. They're extra weird. They're a little gross, but they might be worth a flyer. A lot of them big time plus money. Marv, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, plus 600. I actually like that a lot. Kyler Murray, double-digit rushing touchdowns for the first time, I think, since 2020, plus 1,200. Cardinals to score a rushing TD in every game, plus 3,000. And then the Cardinals over-under for points scored this season, Shane, 400.5. And that's basically even money. So if you're wondering at home what that would be, the Cardinals would need to average 23.5 points per game, which is basically what they did last year. They were slightly below that at 23. So again, that feels like safe money as well. Like you're basically, if a lot of these like even money lines is just like, are the Cardinals healthy? If the Cardinals are healthy, they're going to eclipse most of these offensive totals based on continuity, but just the laws of, hey, I have a rookie or second-year player, and they're going to pop this year. And it's familiarity with the coaching staff. Like they're not going backwards. And they have the easier schedule this year. So again, I know people are nervous about Drew Petzing, and so am I, and Kyler Murray taking that next step with Drew. But for me, it's like even the bare minimum, you're going to hit a lot of these marks.
Yeah, I like the points. I mean, we've talked about it. I think this offense, I think everybody can agree this offense is better than it was last year.
Yeah.
And that should translate to more points. Plus, an underrated part of the points per game, your defense is better. You're going to have the ball a lot more. You're going to have way more opportunities, and that kind of boosts all of the offensive props. Can you throw those up again, Noah? What were some of the other ones? The rushing touchdown every game is insane because the Detroit Lions did that 24 some consecutive games.
Yeah.
And like we know how good that team was.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like the Kyler Murray 10 rushing touchdowns. I think that's a fun flyer. Throw $5 and get 110 back. And then if you think Marv's the number 1 wide receiver, that's a very fun bet. So I actually really like that. That's
probably the best one on there. These are fire graphics from our guy Noah. We're going to repurpose these on our social, but right around the corner, it's minicamp highlight time. The Cardinals wrap minicamp. What does JG and company have to say? That's coming up. What do I have to say about the best headwear in the Valley and beyond? It's Branded Bills. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Branded Bills has you covered. The best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. Whether it's snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. They've got partnerships with our guys at ASU, U of A, the campus collection. We've got our own collection right now. GoPHNX.com, the merchandise locker. They've also partnered with the Phoenix Suns. Locally owned and operated here in Mesa, Arizona. Head to brandedbills.com. Use the bonus code BBPHNX. That's BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. I promise you, when you go Branded Bills, you will never stray again. And don't stray away from smart cooling this summer as we approach triple-digit season here in the Valley. Again, APS is here to talk to you about knowing your energy costs, what it means for your bill and your family. Smart thermostats can work with your APS rate plan to maximize comfort and convenience while minimizing your energy costs. If you're on the APS time of use plan, use your smartphone or device to automatically adjust the thermostat to take advantage of lower cost off-peak hours. APS customers may be eligible for smart thermostats as low as $0 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. If you're not sure how to install a smart thermostat, free install is available at the APS Marketplace. And again, if you already have a smart thermostat in your home, check them out to see if you're eligible for those cool rewards. Find instant rebates, discounts, special offers, and more on thermostats, energy-efficient appliances. Go to marketplace.aps.com. Again, must be an APS customer, pay those shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Again, go to marketplace.aps.com for more information. Such critical information, especially the next time we're going to be talking about the Arizona Cardinals on the field, will be in the peak of summer. It'll be training camp as the Cardinals, Shane, wrapped up mandatory mini camp today. We're going to hear from JG here in a second, but let's cue those highlights, Noah, man. Let's see how the Cardinals looked. How about that 1,000-yard receiver right there, Shano?
Love me some Marv. Love me some slow motion Marv. I feel like I would really thrive in this environment right here. I'm really good at avoiding things while running full speed.
There's Max Melton. I think Max Melton doing an interception drill later in this. There's Marv, Alpha Marv, the Incredible Hulk, the body transformation. I mean,
you can tell.
How is he not going to dominate this year?
Yeah, I was worried that it was just kind of like not the ankle because obviously he put on muscle, but like it looked a little overblown. But seeing him in like video, it's he moves differently.
Yeah, I mean, there's the offensive line putting in work. Gannon talked about them earlier today. Paris Johnson Jr. doing work on the sled. You love to see that. Just tremendous highlights from our guy Noah. Some ball drills with the
Paris
linebackers.
Looked a little thinner. It looked like.
Oh man,
I mean, he's always been like just cut to the gills, but
look how many good players they have now. Garrett Williams is fantastic.
I know I could name them all.
If we had tried to take this video 2 years ago, if Noah had been our producer, like, hey, Noah, can you go and shoot some video for training camp or for minicamp? Be a tough watch.
Yeah.
It would be a tough watch, brother, man.
Can you just record Kyler Murray for 40 minutes, please?
What, on the stationary bike? Because he was coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah, that's right.
Brutal.
Can you get some Clayton Tune reps, please?
You didn't see Will Johnson in those highlights. However, Will Johnson was practicing. Here's Gannon on Will Johnson, who may or may not have a hamstring injury.
A little bit of tight hamstring.
Back to Will Johnson. Do you expect him to be ready for camp?
Yeah.
Will Johnson, put an asterisk, is the only rookie without a contract right now. So I'm just putting that out there. There were people, Noah saw him. He was out there practicing, but he's got a tight hamstring, but he's practicing, but he's not doing everything, but he doesn't have a contract. Just putting that out there.
Gannon is like a much more sane Joe Mazzulla. I'm getting like a little Joe Mazzulla vibes from him where he just doesn't take things seriously, but also takes everything seriously. I love that response.
It's like he's a little tight hamstring. It's a little contract thing. We're taking care of the we're going to, all right, F it. Let's pull up the graphic that I requested, Noah, of the situation with Shemar Stewart. Yeah, because people blew me grief on. So we're just putting this in the ether. Walter Nolen, 16th overall pick. Shemar Stewart, 17th overall pick. Shemar Stewart left minicamp for the Bengals today. And I put this out on Twitter, and people were up in arms, Shane, because they're like, well, it's the Bengals. Blah, blah, blah. And I agree that it is the Bengals. But if they're the same people who are pushing back and saying, Johnny, it's the Bengals, it's not the player. So you're then commending the Cardinals because you think if this had been Shemar Stewart with the Cardinals, then this wouldn't be happening. I think there are two sides to every story. I think it's a little bit of both camps. The guy had, a sack and a half the last 3 years at A&M. He has not been a productive player yet. And this is my point, coming full circle, Shane. Will Johnson, people are like, degenerative knee. His knee's bad. He's a second rounder. He's out there practicing, right? If anybody should be able to do a contract holdout, it's Will Johnson, who the league cost him money with a scan of his knee, and he's out there practicing. So that was my only point I wanted to make with that.
Yeah, that is a really good way to think about it. Like if there is somebody that has a reason to hold out, it's Shedeur Sanders because they stole that. I can't even say that with a straight face. And it's Will Johnson. Like you're right about that. There are these. I mean, it happens every year with the draft, and obviously this is a different circumstance. But there's a storyline that comes out that you look at it, and just as a football fan, you don't realize the impact of a headline and how big that can affect you. Like, he dropped 6-7 spots. He dropped 10 spots. He dropped out of the first round. But that's like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars you're losing. And it's not just for a year. It's not just a signing bonus. Like these are multi-year deals that they're signing. And so, that's a really good point, Johnny. You're totally right about that.
I just feel like Shemar Stewart left the Bengals. He didn't practice one day and he left. That never happened. So much so you have people on Twitter this morning like, if Shemar Stewart wanted to sit out, he could re-enter the draft next year, which is wild. I need that for my psyche. I just want that storyline because I feel like the Bengals are so poverty. Yeah, they're treating Trey Hendrickson. Could you imagine being a fan of an NFL team and it's like, hey, We had a pick in the first round. We used it on a guy. We couldn't agree on a contract. He left, and we lost that pick forever. Could you imagine that?
It does remind me of, what was this guy's name? The Seattle drafted the guy that never played a snap because he got an ATV accident. Hold on, I got to figure this out.
Okay.
McDonald.
Okay.
McDonald.
I'm sure there were Cardinal players that this has happened with. The chat has to keep me honest.
Malik McDowell.
He never played a snap for the Seahawks?
I mean, if he did, it didn't do anything.
Where was he from? Was he from Michigan State?
I want to say West Virginia.
Yes, he went to Michigan State. He never played a snap. You're right. He was with the Browns in 2021. That was it. He was
35th pick, basically a first rounder.
That was when like the cracks in the foundation started.
He had a great year with the Duke City Gladiators in 2023, 2024.
Good on him. Good on him. That's great.
I heard the Phoenix Suns were looking to sign him, actually.
Yeah.
Malik McDowell, Michigan State. That's interesting. All right. So thankfully, Will Johnson seems to be fine. It's maybe a contract. I'm putting words in Gannon's mouth. I don't want to do that. Maybe it really is a hamstring. Why is he practicing, though? I don't know. He looked good, though. What about last year's crop of third rounders? So big point of contention on this show, Shane. The Cardinals had 9 picks in the first 7 picks or 9 picks. Something
115 picks last year.
Yes, in the top 100. 7 picks in the top 100. The 4th round, the return was not great immediately. And 2 of those players Gannon spoke about today. Let's start with Elijah Jones, who could be an option with Will Johnson on the mend or not. But this is the second-year cornerback out of Florida State from JG.
I thought he had his best day yesterday. Really do. Yeah, he's done well. He's worked on his health bucket a lot, which needed to improve, and he's took that to heart, and he's done a really good job. I think looks comfortable out there, second year in the system, and he didn't get to practice a ton last year because, he had the injury there, but he's improving. He's really come on here this last week. He's doing well. He's got length. He's got coverage ability. He can press. He can play off. He's got pretty good instincts. He can run. He's doing well.
Which is good because he didn't play it all last year. He was, I think, like the 100th overall pick. And so he's a guy to keep an eye on. Also to keep an eye on, especially for fantasy enthusiasts like Shane Diefenbach here. We were at the Combine this year, and Gannon was talking, and then just out of nowhere, Matthew Berry showed up, and he started peppering Gannon with questions about Trey Benson because everybody wants to know, like, is Benson going to take James Conner's job? What's happening with Trey Benson? Well, James Conner had a great year, got another extension, so people are like, well, I guess Trey Benson can't play. Don't tell that to Trey Benson. Here's Trey on talking about being an RB1 with James Conner.
Oh, yeah, I feel like I'm going to get more opportunity, help James out a little more. I feel like we can have 2 RB1s on this team, and that's my mindset is just 2 RB1s. Be able to help James out because he was the workload for us last year, and he set the tone for me and, set the tone for the whole running back room. So being able to help him out a little bit more this year, a lot more this year is the goal.
How is he going to help him out? He talked about his explosiveness and maybe putting on some weight. Here's Trey.
I feel great. I'm like 7 pounds heavier than last year, but I'm way more explosive. Thanks to Kyle. Kyle, he's one of the speed training guys, and I haven't like this whole summer. I've been with him the whole time, and just getting my power and speed ready for this year coming up.
So I'm curious, are you to find out what that feels like in camp?
I really can't wait. Like I'm itching for it. Like I can't wait to show everybody what I got.
Now, do you remember him at Florida State? He was on that really good Florida State team that had no quarterbacks by the end of the year.
Yep. Oh yeah. But it's also important to have variety in your running back room. You don't want 2 guys who's just going to run you over. And I know James Conner is kind of a do-it-all guy, but having some more speed back there wouldn't help or wouldn't hurt.
The Cardinals are in a position where, like, Trey Benson was the top pick in the 3rd round. He's healthy. He's ready to go. Let's see it. He ran a sub 4.4 at the Combine last year. We didn't really see that come to fruition on the field. When you don't go Scatterboo, when you allow Scatterboo to go to the Giants, then you better be sure to have a plan in place to get Trey Benson the rock. I have a plan in place to out myself with a Frosty cold take. That's coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. Speaking of Frosty cold, get yourself a 79-cent Polar Pop right now. How about a 99-cent Froster? 3 for $7 on the Ghost. Get them all right now via the Circle K Inner Circle app. How about it? 3 for $5, 28 ounce Gatorade, 20 ounce Gatorade Light. I've taken advantage of that deal. It's fantastic. My son's always asked me, let's go to Circle K and get all the promotions, including a $1 coffee. Everything right now is expensive.
Your son wants a $1 coffee?
No, he wants the Gatorade. He said, yeah, it doesn't cost that much, Dad. Let's go across the street. Let's get some Circle K. And I'm like, darn it, son, you're right. How about the $5 meal deal? They've got 2 slices of pizza, any ounce, 20-ounce soda, or a Polar Pop up to 44 ounces. Fantastic. They also got the $4 breakfast Sammy meal. Regardless, you got to join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. My son's smart. He's on even footing. If you want to stay on even footing, check out our friends at Empire today. Just like your favorite team needs a home court full ice advantage, you need a home floor advantage. Empire today is here to help. As somebody who bought a house this time last year, gutted the flooring, I'm going to tell you right now, don't skip on flooring. Don't skip on the people. Don't skip on the customer service. Empire today is your best bet for a new floor to get you clear upfront and inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule an installation as soon as next day. Nobody wants to wait. They're on the ball right now. Schedule an in-home free estimate because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners get $350 discounts when using the bonus code. You guessed it, PHNX. Yes, you heard that right. $350 off with our friends at Empire today. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire today/PHNX for more details. Before I get into my Frosty take, do you have anything you want to get off your chest? Do you have a Frosty take that you want to come out and out yourself with?
I can try to think of one, but I'll and I can pull this out right now. I've been staring at this. I've been staring at this entire show, and that's not. I'm not even kidding.
Well, Bo Brock is not here, and Bo Brock outlaws eating on this show. I welcome it, so please. It's very appropriate, apropos. Shane,
yeah.
This
the perfect
segment,
consistency too. Oh man, look at that.
This segment brought to you by our friends at Wendy's. It's Frosty Takes Time. I dug deep in the archives of the Venerable household and found this little gem circa 2018. Noah Man, play the footage.
The Oakland Raiders have traded the 10th pick to the Arizona Cardinals. With the 10th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Josh Rosen.
Hey, the lips on
Yes! Championships!
Hey, the lips on the bottom are quicker than the one on top.
Championships!
That's my favorite video of all time. Has anybody in the chat seen that? Like, is this the first time?
That got posted right after the draft, and then somebody like recently, it gets picked up like modestly during draft season. Like people will play it like on other networks or not networks, but other like algorithmic accounts. I don't know if we've ever played it on this show. So
God, it's so good, John. I mean, there's everything is perfect about the video. The tracking of you walking around. What's the story behind the hat? I don't know if I
hosted a draft party in 2018 with friends and family, and I just wanted to wear a top hat, and I had my Undertaker shirt on, and then the gentleman's hat I touch, that was my dad, who did not want Josh Rosen. He wanted a guy named Lamar Jackson, and he was not a fan of the pick.
That's right.
And so I stayed up that night till 2 a.m. watching Rosen highlights, UCLA, because I had not locked in on Rosen because I didn't think there'd be any shot he was going to be there. I thought we were getting the next John Elway. I thought Troy Aikman. I thought he and Christian Kirk were going to dominate the league.
Look, man, to be fair, after what was that, the A&M comeback? Was it A&M at the Rose Bowl?
Oh yeah, that was against Christian Kirk, and so they were trading touchdowns every drive.
He was the truth. He had some unbelievable throws in that game. I was a believer. I was not. I thought Josh Allen championships.
He did not win championships. If you've been living under a rock since 2018, Josh Rosen has not won any championships. Yeah, my dad knew he was a bust immediately. Knew it was a terrible pick. I
used to work at the Cardinals, like as a guest services
person.
I was wearing a suit directing people.
Yeah,
and I remember I was doing one of the preseason games, and I was like, guys, the rookie's coming in. We're going to see him for the first time.
Yeah,
and it was horrible. It was like, just shaky start. That guy was so bad. They drafted a quarterback the next year, John. And obviously we know how that went with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, slightly better.
A little bit.
It can always be worse. You just never know. You literally how is he going to be terrible? Not only was he bad, he was like, franchises were like, we can't keep you around. You're so bad. And his physical traits were good. Like he had
smelled.
I don't know what happened, but good luck to you, Josh. I 100% bought his jersey. I was at the Packer game that year in Green Bay when they beat the Packers, and Mark McCarthy got fired because he lost to Josh Rosen. So, yep, that is our Frosty take of the week.
So I guess, I was thinking a little bit. I'm just like, my hit rate is so high. It's hard to
shut up.
It's hard. The only thing that I can think of recently is Bryce Young, but now that's kind of looking good. He's kind of going to be elite this year, John.
I've got some. When I key in on a player, they're usually bad. So like I've tried to take the approach of like open-mindedness. Now Marv notwithstanding, I think Marv's gonna be great, and that was my pick. But like I loved Beanie Wells. I liked the Kimdichie pick for the value.
Yep.
Like I wanted them to. I was in on like guys like Manziel. I was like, oh, good value if he falls. Like I am not Monty Austin Ford. And so, but thankfully, that's before I started covering the team full time too. And now it's like, when we live this, Fran Duffy makes us all smarter, especially during draft season. But yeah, the Rosen clip. No, I'll play one more time here. Frosty take of the week. The
Oakland Raiders have traded the 10th pick to the Arizona Cardinals. With the 10th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Josh Rosen.
Hey, the lips on
Yes! Woo! Championships!
Hey, the lips on the bottom are quicker than the one on top.
Championships! Woo!
It's the best thing ever. It really is.
I was like, and I read every article. After that, like
we might have a Frosty take forming right now. I mean, my love affair with Jalen Milroe. I still can't believe they drafted him. I'm very high on him.
I think it's good to have realistic expectations. I was a fan of like a developmental guy.
Drew Lock, that was my guy, and again on the Seahawks again. I thought he was going to be so good coming out of college.
You can't talk about Jalen Milroe on the show, because if you do, then your producer will make a short of it, and then Kyler Murray will see it, and then when you interview Kyler Murray, he'll bring up the fact that you talked about a developmental quarterback on the podcast. So, are
you talking about other quarterbacks, John?
We were just talking. Nothing happened. We were just talking. I swear.
It was innocent. It was just chit chat. Yes. I had no intentions behind it. We were just talking.
You should talk to our friends at Bird Gang Travel. Drop a like. We got 216 watching live. Everybody go and sign up with Bird Gang Travel for our package. PHNX heads to NOLA, New Orleans. Myself, Shane was just there. We're not going to bring him back, though. We're actually taking Noah Man, myself, Bo Brock. We're all going. Reserve your spot today. BirdGangTravel.com. Jake the Snake Plumber in the house. They're giving away, I think everybody that signs up with an exclusive package gets a signed Calais Campbell helmet. Love our friends at Bird Gang Travel, the premier travel organization affiliated covering the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to tell you right now, Tyler does a tremendous job. If you have any questions, DM him at Bird Gang Travel on all the social platforms. And, of course, become a diehard today. Go PHNX.com. I saw somebody earlier in the chat saying, I've been on the fence about being a diehard. Well, my brother or sister, now is the time, because we've got a restock of merch en route, including our touchdown tee, our celebratory tee. So, again, find all the work. Gerald Bourguet's coming back from paternity leave. I'm going to be cranking out content. And, of course, you want to be in that exclusive member Discord. Become a diehard right now as we go into overtime here. Overtime. Conversation continues at GoPHNX.com. We welcome all of our partners from our many streaming services. Drop a super chat in honor of the Dief, Shane Diefenbach. We only get him a couple times a year. It's a special occasion with our
once a year eating a Frosty live while we're reading super chats. So
that's right. That's our head of production right there. That's our leader. Tim, $5.
Hold on. Sorry. Before we start the super chats, I want to go back to something you said about Bo outlawing
eating
on the show. I've produced this show probably 100 times.
Yeah.
Multiple times during the show when we're rolling clips, I've seen him shove Circle K snacks in his mouth.
He's such a fraud, and it's frustrating. He has these rules like no eating on camera, no professional wrestlers on the show. There's a list of like 10 things.
Be a Mantis, apparently.
Yeah, you can't bring on young Mantis, Johnny. You can't bring on Jeff Nadeau. And I try to bring on these people, and Bo's like, we're not doing that. And I'm like, just trying to spice it up. We had Seth Rollins ready to come on this show. I'll never forget it. Super Bowl week. His handler is right there. Seth Rollins is right behind him. Bo's like, I don't know who that is. I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm like, what? That was back when we were first starting. So I'm like, let's try to have some
We
fun
need
with it.
this.
Yes.
Wait, you guys could have gotten young Mantis on the show?
Well,
I was DMing with Mantis at the Super Bowl the combine this year. And he was working. He hadn't gotten a credential yet. He was working to get credentialed. And I was going to try to bring him on. And then Bo's lack of enthusiasm just killed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then he was like, can I get a credential? And we're like, all right, maybe.
I was like, Bo, give up your credential for Mantis. Let's do some content. I have the DMs. I'll show you the DMs. No,
that's funny.
So we're always just trying to keep Bo Brock on his toes. You can't hang out with the big wigs in Tempe every day, Bo. Sometimes you have to slum it with internet personalities and pro wrestlers. That's what this show's about. It's also about your super chats. Tim, $5. Calais should have never left Arizona. He's the epitome of Cardinal football. I can take Simmons, Collins, but letting him walk was terrible. Shame on Keim. I mean, it's a huge miss. And I know people are like, he had a bad back at the time. You pay guys when they're productive still. And if they're not productive and they fall off a cliff, you don't want to be a guy that exactly what happened to Keim. It's like he went and got better after he left you. He was arguably the defensive player of the year the next year with the Jaguars. So it's going to be one of those things where you just add it to the list of Keim blunders, Shane.
Yeah. I mean, excuse me, frosty in my throat. We've talked about it at the start of the show that like he was not only like unbelievably productive on the field, and then we saw how long his career went.
Yeah.
But also the type of person he is in the locker room. Like the fact that Keim either couldn't see that or just flat out ignored it is a bigger indictment, in my opinion.
Classic Keim. I think Tim went back to back with the super chats. Thank you so much, Tim. Back to back 5 spots. We appreciate you, my guy, with the 10 spot. Greg, 199. There's a Sea Fox in our hen house today. I think he's talking about one Shane Diefenbach. Let me ask you this, since we got you and you know Seahawk football better than most. Why do you think they're so successful beating the Cardinals? Why can't the Cardinals beat the Seahawks post Pete Carroll now? And even when it was Geno Smith and Pete Carroll?
Well, I mean, after Pete, I think both organizations kind of took a downturn.
Yeah.
And like they weren't playing their best football, but I think that most of the time it's just been matchups. Like you have these great running backs. I mean, Seattle's running back room hasn't been bad for a very long time, and I think we might see it this year with K9's injury and his proneness to injury, and we saw it last year a bit. But for the most part, like they're kind of able to have their way in the run game, and with and without Pete, like it's just hard to beat a team when they're dominating you on the ground. So I think that was a lot to do with it. But I mean, I also think a lot to do with it was culture. I think the culture in Seattle has always remained the same with Pete. And then afterward, McDonald, people were shaky at the start when he was taking stuff off the walls. But it looks like they haven't skipped a beat. And I think that the culture in Arizona up until Gannon wasn't very good.
Yeah, I think Geno Smith, when not pressured, is a good quarterback, and Cardinals haven't been able to pressure recently. And then they have done a tremendous job disrupting K1 with interior pressure. I mean, Leonard Williams wreaks havoc on the Cardinals, and they got to get that corrected. Brian, $5. Bengals want to include a clause that if he's cut, it voids remaining guaranteed money. That's Bush League franchise. That's BS. So Brian giving us the insight with Shemar Stewart.
Is that real?
How are they able to do that? The NFLPA would step in and say, you can't do that.
I mean, you can probably try to include any clause you want. That's really interesting because I mean the whole thing has been verbiage. That's what it's being reported is the verbiage in the contract. So that's bizarre.
When you've got
but that
this,
also speaks to the draft pick. I mean, it's shades of Quentin Johnston last year, where you're hearing, this guy hasn't even stepped a foot on a football field in a preseason game, and we're already talking about mistakes.
He is left mandatory minicamp. Stewart had been attending activities, but without a signed contract, and with the Bengals asking for here it is, certain clauses, no longer. And then Trey Hendrickson said he's not playing this year without a new contract. So, I mean, it was
the only thing I've seen is clauses and verbiage. So it's, I mean, obviously you can't adjust the numbers. So it had to have been something like that, but, and where the money goes, but it's all about clauses, it seems like. And if that's the case, that's crazy, because again, that's an indictment not only on you, because as Brian said, Bush League, but it's also an indictment on your scouting staff for drafting a player that you don't think can make your opening day roster.
I mean, everybody likes to dog on this franchise and the front office and the ownership, but it's like, it's been a while since the Cardinals have made headlines like this, and feel very fortunate. You know, when I first did the show in 2022, every other day it was like player arrested, players being sued, owners being sued. It's just like things have calmed down, and we get to talk about real, actual football again, and this team potentially returning to the playoffs, Shane.
Yeah, let's just hope that after the Cardinals have a good year this year, when we're at the Combine next year, there isn't another 32nd NFLPA grade ranking.
I mean, like, the facility is going to be bad until they fix it, until they update it. But I mean, again, we know, like, they're trying to update it, and we will see how that goes. We've updated and upgraded with our guy Shane Diefenbach today. We appreciate you, my brother. Drop a like, drop a comment, get us to 350 likes here on a Dief Thursday. We cap off our show's Sans Bobrock tomorrow, a big time in studio show. Denzel Burke, ever heard of him? Kitten Crawford, ever heard of him? Joining us in studio mañana, the 5th and 7th rounders, respectfully, for the Arizona Cardinals, are going to be with Johnny Venerable and friends. It's going to be a loaded Football Friday, Shane. I know you'll be tuning in.
Yeah, I'm going to be stoked. That should be really fun. I mean, is there a more exciting 5th round draft pick than Denzel Burke?
Well, he was supposed to go, top 120. It didn't happen. And it's just like, oh, here's a guy who started Ohio State forever that I've watched on college football forever. And he's just on the team now. And he's like, I'm sure he's going to say all the right things, but I'm sure he's coming for a starting job sooner rather than later.
Definitely. That's going to be a fun episode. I'm definitely going to be tuning in.
Drop a like, drop a comment. What do you think of the Arizona Cardinals odds for this year from the gambling scene? And of course, Calais Campbell. Of course, it was a mistake. Are you excited to see him back? Again, big thanks. Noah crushing it at Minicamp. We're going to have full highlights broken down on our YouTube page, so be sure to subscribe. And again, check out Shane every day with S-Ball and Southwest Bias, and of course, the fellows on Sun Devils. Subscribe to PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcast. For Shane, Noah, I'm Johnny. See you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.